Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Thomas Cathy. We're here to talk about what's next for Jared Anderson, his performance last night against Riyad Murray, and a couple of other things as well. Thomas, good to be joined by you as always. Um, you've we've both survived the fight from last night. Another victory for Jared Anderson, who remains undefeated. Um, he was up against the guy who didn't really want to fight last night, so didn't make for a great main event. What did you think of it all?
Yeah, I mean, you basically summed it up right there. I mean, Riyad Murray basically came in there and just laid down for him. So unfortunately, we didn't really find out much about Jared, to be honest. He did get some rounds in, and I guess which is good. If anything, it's good that he was able to go those rounds and stay consistent in light of, everything that's going on outside of the ring for him. But really that's about it as far as like moral victories goes. I mean, he won the fight, but it's very lackluster. I don't really think we found out much. He's been the distance before against Charles Martin, so we know he can go the distance. And yeah, Riyad Murray just didn't really show up, and to be honest, it was a terrible fight.
Yeah, no, you're probably the most polite person within the ESBR team, and I think for you to say that is quite something. But you've not gone over the top, and look, you need two guys who want to fight there, who want to win to make a good fight, and we didn't really have that last night. Anderson, as you mentioned, like not the best circumstances with stuff going on outside of the ring. That possibly didn't help. Whether he should have been in the ring or not is kind of a different debate. But yeah, obviously he was in trouble with the law just a few weeks ago. So there's a lot going on there. And we will see what happens in the near future. Um, how would you describe Anderson now, Tom? 17-0, 15 stoppages. He's got a win over former world champion Charles Martin, stoppage win over Jerry Forrest, who's operated at a high level. Hasn't kind of come close to losing a fight, hasn't been in a lot of trouble in his career, and he is still only 24 years old, very young for a heavyweight. I think if you think of where the likes of Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, when they were 24, that was a very different kind of resume to what Anderson's achieved already. We shouldn't forget that. Would you
Yep.
describe him as like top 15, top 20, top 10, top 30? How high would you kind of rank him with other heavyweight names at the moment, Thomas?
Well, I think he definitely is at the very least top 15. I mean, he's ranked top 15 in all of the sanctioning bodies, if I'm correct, if not like three out of the four. I believe he's ranked in all of them. So I think I think he has all the potential, to be honest. Um, he's definitely has the power. Um, he's got he's got the speed, and I think that's very important. He's not just like a lumbering heavyweight. And I think he kind of brings that lower weight class mobility kind of, and upper body movement that a lot of heavyweights don't really provide. So I think that can give him an edge. Um, and I think he, even in that fight with Charles Martin, he got touched up quite a bit, and rocked perhaps once or twice,
Mm.
but he fought through that. He went the distance. He went the distance in that fight, and in this fight he went the distance, and he didn't tire uh at all, really. So I think those are all like good signs. What we've seen are all good signs from him, and I think he has what it takes to be the to be a champ in at least one of the organizations.
Yeah. Look, we'll see. It's interesting, kind of a talk to see where he's at in 5 years' time. And I think that one thing that's important to remember is the top guys at the moment are all in their mid 30s. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk. I mean, Deontay Wilder's is in his late 30s actually. Zhile Zhang is another one. Dillian White. None of these guys are still. None of these guys are likely to be fighting in 5 years' time, whereas Anderson definitely will be. He'll be 29 then, and he could possibly be in his prime in 5 years' time. Um, I'm not going to kind of. It's a big question to ask you if he is the next kind of heavyweight king, Thomas. We've kind of covered that a little bit on the channel, and I think it's hard to know until you face a certain caliber of opposition. And I think the likes of Bakhmedir Jalilov, who's kind of really not faced anyone there, it's hard to compare. It's really hard to compare the two of them. But I think Anderson will be a competitor, that's for sure. Interested to see how quickly he moves over the next year or so. What are you what are you expecting, Thomas? Like he's been active, which is great. As you mentioned, ranked in the government governing bodies. Do you think they're going to try and kind of take more challenging fights? If you think about in the next 12 months, do you think they're going to kind of fight the likes of Riyad Murray or Jerry Forrest, guys who are kind of maybe top 50 but nowhere near the top 15, that sort of heavyweight? Or do you think that we could kind of see Jared Anderson in a meaningful fight in the next 12 months?
Well, according to Bob Arum, um, I guess the plan is, at least for the rest of this year, is to continue to, maybe get one or two fights like Riyad Murray, unfortunately. And then next year, you know, 2025 is when he'll get that, step into the next echelon and start fighting those big names. And then 2026 is when, he would be a title holder or champion. Um, Honestly though, like I don't know if I want to see him against another uh opponent the same caliber as Murray. I want to see him, step it up a little bit. Maybe fight, you know, like a fellow up and coming content like F.A. Ajagba. Why not make that fight,
Yeah.
I want to see that, but
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna throw some names at you.
yeah.
Let's start with that one.
Okay.
What was happening? Efia Jagba last night? I found it quite entertaining. Um, there wasn't a lot of skill involved in that fight, but it was two men who could punch very hard. Ajagba got badly shaken in the second round. I don't know if you noticed this at the end of the second round, he actually went to the wrong corner because he was that badly hurt. Um, what would happen there, Thomas? Jared Anderson, F.A. Jagba, really good fight. Who do you think would win?
Well, I definitely think Jared Anderson would win. And it's not like I suggested that fight because I think that it's a necessarily an even matchup. I just think like it at the very least it's better it should be better than Riyad Murray, And you, Ajagba is unbeaten. He's had some, you know, I feel like his time is coming where he's going to catch an L. But it would at the very least be more entertaining, I think, to see him fight Ajagba than another fighter versus the caliber of Riyad
Yeah.
Murray or any of the other guys like that he's been fighting in the past couple years besides Charles Martin. Um, I don't want to see any more of those fights. I think
Mm.
we've seen like all we can see from Jared Anderson with those kind of matchups.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Gonna throw a couple more names to you, Thomas. I'm gonna kind of keep them to Americans only for no reason at all, but gonna see. I think America have had some fantastic heavyweights in heavyweight history. Don't need to name them. We all know kind of the likes of Mike Tyson are and so forth. But and it feels like the boxing world is looking for the next great American heavyweight, and we'll have to see if that's Jared Anderson or not. Um, in terms of other American heavyweights, Jermaine Franklin Jr. Jermaine Franklin Jr. Fought Anthony Joshua, fought Dillian White. A lot of people thought he beat Dillian White. What about that fight? What do you make of it?
Yeah, I definitely, like Ajagba, definitely think it's a step up from what he was facing before. and it's a recognizable name. I think I definitely want to see him against a recognizable name, um, and something that would definitely get the fans a bit more excited is after that last fight. I think he needs something like that. So I think a fight with Jermaine Franklin would be fun. I do think that Jared Anderson has the edge in that one for sure. I think
Mm.
he's just shown a lot more all the way around, to be honest. But yeah, sign me up for that, and I would be down to see it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Gonna throw one final name at you before we stop, Thomas. A man who lost his last fight, got stopped in his last fight. Not sure what's going on with him. Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Again, look, we're not saying this fight's going to happen. Jared Anderson calls himself the real Big Baby, so maybe there's some sort of rivalry there. Um, Thoughts on this one? Jarrell Miller was last in the ring in December. You'd think he would be having another fight this summer. Um, so we'll see. But I'm interested. I'm interested to get your thoughts on this one.
Sure. I would take it. Um, I do think the other two matchups we were discussing would be a little bit more. I'd be a little bit more willing to see those. I do think, you know, Jared Miller is or Jarrell Miller, sorry, is past his best days for sure, and definitely didn't look good against Dubois. Definitely didn't look in the kind of shape that he did in the past. Um, so yeah, it's fine. It's a recognizable name. Um, but yeah, that's just about it for me.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Thomas, good to speak to you. Always fun making these videos. Obviously, we're not in a position where we know who Anderson's going to face now or in 12 months' time. But yeah, I'm sure we will see more entertaining fights with him involved later this year, and I will catch up with you then. Thomas, thank you for your time, and I will speak to
Thank
you
you.
again soon.
All right, man. As always, thank you.